So I think you said Maria referred to me as a medium. That's not a label I would use for myself. I think I'm still learning, but I am able to like feel energy and like feel spirits and like relay different messages. So sometimes I do it and I don't even know I'm doing it, and then there's other times where I'll hear or I'll see a vision and I'll be able to talk to people based on like that vision. So actually happened to me on Thanksgiving. I went to my friend's house and I wasn't even gonna go. It was so random. Someone just told me to go over there to visit her. So I go to her house and I walk in and I have like I do it at Summer too. They call them That's So Raven moments. Be like, Javion's having a That's So Raven moment because I'll just like stare off in his face. And they'll be like, Javionn. I'm like, huh? They're like, so who'd you just see? And I'm just like, nobody. But and so it happened, I walked into her kitchen and I just felt like this really strong, like loving, older lady energy. And at first I thought I was like going crazy. I'm like, what is this? And so like something told me like, no, it's this presence. And I'm like, well, there were two people there. So I'm like, well, who's it for? And so my friend goes, Javionn, what just happened? She's like, yeah, are you okay? Like she was getting scared. I'm like, oh, she getting scared. Now I gotta tell her what's going on. So I start telling her, I'm like, I just feel like this energy is an old lady and the energy is very strong and it's very loving. Like, I don't know who she is, but I saw a vision of who she was, but me not really trusting like the gift or what I was seeing and still kind of being like, am I really seeing what I'm seeing? Am I really experiencing what I'm experiencing? I kind of like laid back a little bit. And she's like, well, can you describe her to me? I'm like, it's a grandma. And she's like, well, I have two grandmas. What does she look like? And I'm like, I don't want to tell her what this lady looks like. And I'm going to describe her wrong. And she's going to think that I'm just making stuff up. So I'm like, why don't you describe your two grandmas to me and I'll tell you which one it is. So in my mind's eye, I saw a lady with like wavy, curly, blonde or like white, gray hair. And so she was like, well, she's older. I'm like, what does her hair look like? And she's like, well, what kind of hair do you see? So she kind of knew that I saw her. And I told her, I'm like, it's grayish white. It's like wavy / curly. She knew exactly who it was right away. And she was just like, that's so-and-so. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, she's here. She just wants you to know she loves you or whatever. And it was weird because like how the energy was coming through, I'm not a crier. But like, I just started crying. And I'm like, why am I crying? And it's like, I was feeling the energy of whoever. And it's like, it was creeping me out. Because I'm like, what is this? And so I'm telling her, and my friend starts crying, and she was like, well, you don't know this, but I've been going through a lot lately. Like, I've really been depressed and sad. I've had all this stuff going on. You know, it's Thanksgiving. I haven't heard from my family. And she was like, I feel like my mom doesn't love me. I'm like, well, whoever this lady is wants you to know that she loves you and she cares about you and she's here for you. And she's like, and it's just so crazy because growing up, I was her baby. Like, the lady who passed, I was her baby. Like, I was her baby. Couldn't nobody do anything to me, say anything to me, anything like that. Like, I was always with her and she just loved me unconditionally, but I forgot about her until you got here and reminded me. And I was just like, whoa. Like, yeah. So, like, I have experiences like that where a lot of times people, when they think medium or somebody talking to spirits, they're like, they're crazy. I felt crazy myself. Like, what is this? But I was also happy that she got the message she needed to continue to move forward with herself and what she had going on. Ooh, my story, that's a lot. That's loaded. So what brought me to Atlanta, I'm initially from like the suburbs of Chicago. So I moved here from Maryland. So I went to school at Northern Illinois University and I finished school. Once I finished school, I started working with at-risk youth in Chicago and I loved it. But a lot of shifting happened in my life during that time. So the person basically that you see in front of you is not who I was at all while I was in Chicago. So you guys are gonna cut it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So from Chicago, I moved to Baltimore. When I was in Chicago, I had everything. I had a car, I had a place to stay, I had 2 jobs, but I just wasn't happy with my life there. And so one day, I feel like a voice or my intuition was just like, it's time for you to go. So I got on a bus and went to Baltimore. I left everything in Chicago. I took 2 suitcases and everything else stayed in Chicago and I just went to Baltimore. I stayed at a friend's house with their family for about 6 months. And while I was there, I was working all kind of jobs, doing all kind of things just to really get my feet planted on the ground. And so I kind of like climbed my way up, and I started over from the beginning. So I had a college degree, but since I didn't really have a lot of prospects, I started off working at, first I worked at a hotel in the cafe, something like what I do now, working in the cafe. I was there for about 3 months, and then I started working at Amazon, Barnes and Noble. So I'm working all these jobs trying to save money so I can get a car, because I was like, I want to get out. I want to, you know what I'm saying? I see myself in a certain space, so I'm trying to get there. So I ended up moving out of my friend's family's house, and I moved into like a room. I rented a room for, I think, a year. I rented a room by myself. It was like $400, a little, like, it was like a closet. That's how big it was. And while I was there, I worked at a youth homeless shelter in DC, which was really cool. And I would work there overnight from like 10 p.m. to 12 p.m. every day, which was interesting. It was interesting because I had just come from a situation where some people would consider me being homeless because I wasn't in my home. I was in somebody else's place. But it really opened my eyes to like how blessed I was and just how much I could feed into these kids. So while I was there, I loved it. And eventually that turned into me getting a job in corporate, which is what I was kind of telling Kevin about when I'm trying to transition out of that. So being in corporate, it's like you have these ideas. You go to high school, you get your high school diploma. Then you go to college, you get that degree. Then you get a job and you work. So I was really trying to build my life around just working. I thought that that's what I was supposed to do. And I got this job and I'm making a little bit more money and I'm excited. And then I actually start doing the job and I hate it. I hate it. It was draining and I'm getting frustrated. Like, you know, I should be able to really do well in this position because I've gone to school, I've done everything I need to do. Why am I not happy? Why are these things happening? So I transferred from the company in DC and I decided to transfer to a company in Georgia. So I ended up moving to Georgia by myself, like throwing away all my savings to move down here just to do the same job I had been doing for about another year. Same results, still hate it, still, you know, it's not really fun for me. So while I was doing that, like I kind of stepped into, I guess you could say, a spiritual journey along the way. And different things just started coming to me. So I started learning about crystals, which I have affinity for rocks. I've always liked rocks. So I used to collect like rocks from outside when I was a kid and keep them under my bed. I have like a box of rocks. So when I started learning about crystals and like the different properties they carried, I started working with them and carrying them with me, and I noticed that my energy would change or how I would move in certain situations would change just based on what I had. So I started looking it up, different types of crystals. And I think at a point, I learned about Samba. So I ended up coming here for an interview. And yeah, I came in for an interview. It was a pretty cool interview. I didn't know anything about Ayurveda. I didn't know anything about the food they eat here. I had no idea. I was just like, I like the energy here. So if you're gonna hire me, I'm gonna work here. And so I started working here and it literally shifted everything. I went from being like depressed, having like high depression or mild depression to having ADHD or being diagnosed with ADHD. And when I started working here, the owner, Shannon, she showed me how to meditate one day. I came to work one day, I was depressed and I told her like, I just wanna go home and sleep. And she said, you know, why don't you come do yoga with me? And, you know, in corporate, they're not gonna, if you have the PTO, you can go. If you don't, you're probably just gonna have to stay. You're not getting paid for the day. But she was compassionate enough to say like, I understand, I see how you're feeling, I know what you're going through. Come do some yoga, you know. And so we did yoga for about 45 minutes, meditated, and I felt completely different. And I went home and I started doing it by myself every day. And it's literally like just shifted my life. And so, I say all that to say, I think I'm shifting from corporate to coming back into like a more spiritual space, more spiritual energy, and working from that place, because there's like a balance, you know. And a lot of times we think about money and how important money is. It's just like it's a piece of paper. If you don't mentally feel sane, if you're not okay within yourself, like, then it doesn't matter. It's like working all these jobs, working for all this money just for you to, one, it's gonna get spent and you're gonna have to do it all over again. But when you really do that internal work and you work on yourself and find your path, it's completely different. It's like we're taught these things like what we're supposed to do, but when you really take the time to think about it, none of that stuff really is innate to us. It's just forced because it's what we're told. And so if I could do anything, I would love, like, I like working with younger people. One, I look really young, so I'm able to relate to them better and they actually listen to me. But just to let them know, like, you don't have to do you don't have to do these things to be successful. And success is it's up to interpretation. So what is success for you? What is happiness for you? It's not based on a job. It's not based on money, because money, it comes and goes. That's all it does. But it's not something you can hold on to. But your sanity, like yourself, your balance, your self-love, that's something that's really important. But I'm also a firm believer in the fact that we have to go through all of this to get to where we actually have to be. So I bet you can also say, like, you've probably learned a lot of things being in Oregon or being in a space where you were by yourself and you didn't know anybody. I know I did. You learn yourself a little bit more. Another thing, like, that I'm passionate about is, like, diversity. So, like, because different groups of people, it's so easy for us to go into our own clusters and only be around people who we feel like we can relate to just based on what we see or what we know of them. But the true reality is, like, we all are related. We all have something, a way that we can relate that you can't always see. And sometimes it's cool to have people that you can relate to, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm not the only, you might feel like alone, but hey, you find somebody who's going through the same thing you're going through too, and being like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like, everything's gonna be all right. This is just a part of the way we gotta ride. And so, like, I'm learning too, like, your network and the people you're around, they make a really big difference in, like, just what you're able to do and how you see yourself. Like, if you're not around people who are positive and loving, who genuinely care about you, it's that much harder for you because you second guess and question yourself. But if you're around people who genuinely care about you and want to see you succeed, they're gonna feed that positivity and love into you, and that's just gonna push you to go further as well. So, and it's interesting because, like, it's a both and. So, like, a lot of the negative things that happen to me, I have the ability to also see them in a positive light. I think one of the hardest things for me is my relationship with my dad. So, like, since I was a kid, like, I always liked being around my dad, but as I got older and my life changed, my lifestyle changed, he kind of cut me off. So, actually today I found out that he might have stomach cancer. So that's another reason I came to Sama, because it always uplifts my spirit, and being around Maria and Tia and Shannon, like, they'll give me a hug, they'll ask if I'm okay. Just being around them, it makes me feel better. But right now it's really difficult because it's like I've been trying to build this relationship with him, you know, trying to get to know him so he can get to know me, but it hasn't worked. And then today to get the news like, hey, he might have, well, they're pretty sure he does have stomach cancer. It's just like, damn. So it's kind of difficult, but at the same time, I think I'm learning more about myself. Not having him around has forced me to find other figures, other mentors, other people I can look up to, and to try to create a plan for myself so that I can see myself through, even if he's not able to, you know. So yeah. The best thing that has ever happened to me is I transitioned. So, how do I put this? Because it's always an interesting thing for me to talk about, but so the person I was born as is not the person I identify as right now. So when I was born as people would, I was defined as female. And so I think a few months after, I think I was in college. Yeah, okay, so I started to transition my senior year of college. I think a week before I graduated from college, I started to transition, and it completely changed my life. So, like, who you see now is not who people know like 10 years ago. But it's one of the best things that ever happened, because it's kind of like you know how a caterpillar, you have a caterpillar, it goes into its cocoon and it basically like dies in the cocoon and then it reemerges a butterfly. That's kind of what happened to me. Growing up, I was suicidal, I was depressed, I didn't want to live all those things. And I really just had to like get into it myself and really pray on it and figure it out. And transitioning is a scary thing within itself, because you're gonna get judgment, people aren't gonna understand, you're gonna have these different things coming your way. And so I really had to find a way to journey within myself, understand myself, to really get to the point where I could move myself forward. And since I've done that, like, yeah, there's still challenges, but I just feel more like my authentic self. So yeah, I know you probably weren't expecting that.
What does that feel like for you?
It feels like a balance. So some days it's great, some days it's horrible, but I feel, all I can say is just authentic. So it's like, I feel like not only can people actually see me, but I can see myself, finally. But it's way more in depth than just literally like physical seeing me. It's more so me being able to exude who I am, exude my energy freely for everyone to